One of the most important things when trying to build something successful is to think of the big long term goals, to picture yourself in the future, and to say, how would I feel when I'm there? And then try to embrace those feelings and use that as your drive to push forward towards that. If you're acting and doing things that you would if you've already achieved your goal, a lot of other things will just naturally fall into place. And stumbling blocks along the way will just scatter away and not be that big of an issue anymore. However, along the way, one thing, I know it's happened to me, I'm sure lots of other people, is while you're doing that, it's really easy to miss the little things along the way, to appreciate that it's not an end result you really want. Because once you get there, you'll just be left wanting for something else. It's the process getting there. All the little stepping stones, all the little achievements, whether it be successes or failures you've overcome, successes are basically failures you've overcome and found a solution to. This last week has been quite an eye-opener for me. It started off on Friday. I had my trapeze lesson. I was actually kind of impressed with my strength. And it wasn't until really I saw the enthusiasm from my instructor that I realized, like toward the end of the class, when I did an ankle hang for the first time, I'm just not appreciating all these little things that are actually pretty impressive steps compared to where I was not even a year ago. Saturday night, the next day, I'm at work. One of the managers come by, and he's talking to me. He's like, hey, I pushed really hard and I got my 5,000 in. I run a lot and people were telling me, yeah, I'd be sore the next day, and I really was. I don't know how you guys do that every day. Me and a couple other people, it's pretty much just every day we just go all out. It's like Will Smith said, and some other guys, a lot of successful ones, it's just do your best no matter what. Why go in with a half-assed attitude, It's just do the best you can. Best will vary per day, of course. Best doesn't always mean being like the fastest or the hardest or whatever else. It just means giving it pretty much your all. Not backing down, slacking off, being lazy, It's just... That same day, it didn't earn me 15-minute breaks due to the fact of historically I've had a lot of wrist pain and even elbow pain, lower back, upper back, you name it. It's just so many years of RSDs. I blame on Alaska a lot, or construction for like a decade or more before that. And if you've been following any of this, earlier last year, around like January, February, was able to take most of what I was getting from the aerial dance people and through a lot of different stretching and working with people that were also physical therapists and do Pilates, yoga, and all these other things that I've just never really gotten into. It just blew me away at how substantially I could eliminate almost all pains in the body that I had marked up as chronic, just part of getting older. And realized it didn't have to be that way. So this is what I do on my 15-minute breaks, is essentially I figure, okay, what's bothering me? How do I stretch it out? And, what are the different moves? And if I have any time left, maybe do like a strength building move or two. It could just be push ups or, whatever, like plank taps or something else. And I was doing one of those and was just finishing up and stood up, and I saw somebody else was just waiting for me to finish. She had to come do something in my station. I do my exercises there because they have a rubber mat and it's easier on my knees. And she comes in and is like, wow, I'm just really impressed. I was like, man, you're doing all this stuff. It's like, I'm still doing planks on my knees and stuff. And I'm thinking, yeah, I guess this does require some stamina. Since this, with all the social distancing, the only people I'm around when I go to like a conditioning class or an apparatus class are people that have been doing this generally for years. So I'm still kind of in the bottom end of the barrel on that one physically. So I guess I'm judging myself against other people where I've been trying harder and harder not to do that. And without taking the time to appreciate judging against myself, where was I before? And that again helped me realize that I'm not appreciating the small stuff here. In less than a year, or maybe about a little over a year, but I've made pretty substantial progress, especially considering how hit or miss and staggered for motivation 2020 was for obvious reasons. And then it was Monday. Finally, for the first time since I think mid-March of last year. It's been that long. When the whole, again, 2020 thing struck in. Have first live, in-person Soaks class. So I go into it's my usual thing. I'm just still worried because I've almost never had the frigging grip and the strength. A lot of it, I mean, it's pretty much all my fault anyway, because I just haven't put the time and dedication in. Kept figuring, oh, well, if it was in person, then I'd do it. And, well, we all know how 2020 went. So, yeah, I keep blaming it like everybody else, but, I could have done stuff on the side as well and didn't. So that's all on me. But going through the class, I was actually able to keep up. Guaranteed this is still just a beginner's class, and one or two people haven't really done anything with aerial before. But at least one with, some gymnast training and whatnot. So, but with just a little bit of rosin, I was actually, for the first time, able to get off the ground a little bit for climbing. I couldn't really climb very high at all. Now I learned I'm going to have to figure out what to do, how to do, hold on with your feet and all this other stuff. And multiple people have commented that I have slippery feet. I was doing stuff on the ground and never really needed sliders. I don't know, I go barefoot a lot of places. I just don't have the calluses I used to. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's just more stuff to work on. But I was still really impressed. I was able to hold on with my hands. I said it took just a little bit of rosin, but in the past that wasn't enough. It was no matter how much rosin I used, I still slide down. This time I was able to actually hold a position. Another big step forward. And then Tuesday, I do my flexibility course, not about as normal, but as I go to work that night, I get called up to the quarterback desk. This happens a lot, and sometimes it's pretty much for no reasons. Or there's oh, you're going too fast, so you got to stand down a little bit. And I get pinged with so many messages. Everything's electronic in the warehouse, so I just try to ignore a lot of them. So yeah, I didn't even bother going. They wanted me to go before lunch, but I got back from lunch and there was another message on the screen. Yeah, guess I better go. So I go up there and they're like, oh, we were trying to catch you before lunch. We just wanted to give you something, and we'll come down to your station. All right, whatever. I had to work 3 floors up just to hear that. I'm like, I gotta come all the way back up here again. And they're like, no, we'll go to your station. So, all right, cool. Fine. I just want to go back to work. I don't care about all these crazy things these guys got going on. But yeah, like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, like every freaking manager in my department, assistant manager, and all that just show up at my station. It was like 10 or 15 of them. Just like, all right. I'd kind of half suspected what was going to happen anyway. And yeah, sure enough, they ended up coming, and they just wanted to give me a piece of paper there. So it was kind of cool. So, got like a employee of the month. That was the first one this year. I did get one last year in May. It was right after I left the company. In June, I came back. I don't know. I mean, I left first week of June. And I guess that they had gotten the award and were going to give it to me somewhere in like mid or into June. And since I left first week, I was already in Eastern Oregon, hanging out on a cattle ranch. But I came back with the company in October. My second day back, one of the assistant managers there comes up to me and was like, hey, I remember you. Goes into her backpack and just pulls out the same thing except from last year, and was like, hey, you made employee of the month right before you left. And I'm like, wow. It wasn't so much I made employee of the month that it made me go, wow. It's the fact that this person in a personal backpack for almost 5 months held on to that on the off chance I would come back to the company, which I didn't even think I was going to do. I mean, really, who does that? I mean, that just shows a company that cares. That's the way I see it. Yeah. But it was still kind of cool to make employee of the month again this year. So, I mean, there you have it. That's like 4 days in 1 week, Make good progress with the ankle hangs. And, the manager was impressed with my work stamina, and so was another coworker. Just when I was doing like stretching stamina, silks class, I mean, I can have like grip, and then employee of the month. That's a lot of small stuff being thrown at me all at once in the course of a week. So I'm going to view that as the universe telling me, hey, if you're not going to pay attention, I'm going to throw this in your face. This is where motivation and drive comes from, is when you can look back, not just on other people's words and say, it pump you up. It's when you can look back on your own achievements, no matter how small. And I mean, that's really what the important stuff is. So I can judge myself against where was I before I had those? How far have I come? And then it leads to, what are you capable of? What can I do? Questions I had kind of openly asked before, but now that I've made steps in progress, it's like being on a higher plateau and asking these gradually, closer, each step, one closer to achieving the goals. Yeah, that's the important stuff in life. Once I get this straightened out and figured out and self-sustaining, I can do it anywhere under any conditions. That means I don't have to be here, or maybe don't have to be here in person. And then I could be with my family overseas and still find a way over there that I can do a lot of the stuff I'm doing here. And be even happier because now I'm not away from my family for so long. Right there you have it. Keep your eye on the small stuff in life. Don't let it get away from you. Because this is where the true drive, the persistence, the motivation, everything else builds off of. It's the important part towards success, I feel.